It was a drizzly, whispering kind of night. Alex was the last one leaving the office, a monthly report tucked under his arm. The relentless rain lashed against the darkened windows of the sterling and gray building. The power had flickered out an hour ago, and the emergency lights had sputtered and died, leaving the lobby in a cave-like gloom. The only illumination was the stark, pale glow of his phone, making the familiar reception desk look like a forgotten tomb. "Great," Alex muttered to the empty air. He jabbed the elevator button, but the panel was dead, a shuddering metal cage he'd never fully trusted. "Stairs it is." The heavy metal door to the concrete stairwell groaned in protest as he pushed it open. It thudded shut behind him with a finality that made him flinch. The silence that followed was absolute, thick, and swallowing. Clunk, clunk. His own footsteps on the bare concrete were thunderously loud in the hollow, tomb-like shaft. He was on the 7th floor, with a long, dark descent ahead. The air was cold and still, smelling of damp concrete and old dust. As he rounded the landing of the 6th floor, he heard the first sign he wasn't alone. It was a soft, rhythmic sound from far below. Scrape, drag, scrape, drag. It was unmistakable, the sound of something heavy, dense and unyielding, being pulled up a step, then dragged across the grid of the landing. The pace was slow, deliberate, and agonizingly patient. Alex's blood, already chilled from the dank air, seemed to freeze solid in his veins. He stopped dead, pressing himself against the cold wall, holding his breath until spots danced before his eyes. The scraping stopped. His heart was a frantic bird trapped in the cage of his ribs. Swallowing hard, he leaned over the cold iron railing, peering down into the profound darkness of the stairwell's central void. He saw nothing, only an abyss. Gathering his courage, he took another tentative step down to the 5th floor landing. Scrape, drag, scrape, drag. This time, the sound was faster. Closer. It was no longer several floors below. It was now just one flight down, on the 4th floor landing. The rhythm was urgent, hungry. Alex froze, a statue of terror. Panic, cold and sharp, clawed its way up from his gut into his throat. Now, beneath the grotesque scraping, he could hear another sound, ragged, wet breathing. It was the sound of damaged lungs struggling for air, a horrible, liquid gasp that seemed to echo off every concrete surface. His hands were trembling so violently he nearly dropped his phone. He fumbled with it, the sudden beam cutting through the oppressive dark like a surgical knife. He pointed the light straight down the central gap, aiming for the source of the noise. The beam fell upon the 4th floor landing. A figure was crouched there, its back to him. It was dressed in the familiar, now tattered fabric of office wear, a moth-eaten gray suit jacket, pinstripe trousers frayed at the cuffs. Its posture was all wrong, a painful, twisted hunch. Its head was bent at a severe, impossible angle, as if its neck had been shattered. And it was laboring. With one pale, grimy hand, it was slowly, doggedly, dragging a large, shapeless bundle up onto the step behind it. The bundle was dark, bulky, and left a faint, glistening trail on the concrete. As the light hit it, the figure went rigid. The scraping ceased. The wet breathing hitched. Then, it began to turn. Not with the fluid motion of a living person, but with a slow, jerky, mechanical rotation. It was turning its head backwards, over its shoulder, the movement accompanied by a faint, sickening grating noise, like bone grinding on bone. Alex's light illuminated a pale, waxy profile, a gaunt cheek, the corner of a lifeless eye, a slack jaw. He didn't wait to see more. Pure, undiluted instinct took over. He whirled around and sprinted back up the stairs he had just descended, taking them 2 and 3 at a time, his dress shoes slipping on the edges. His own breath now screamed in his ears, drowning out all other sound. He didn't look back. He burst through the 7th floor stairwell door, into the slightly less dark office lobby, and slammed the heavy metal door shut with all his strength. His fingers, slick with cold sweat, scrambled for his keys. He found the master key for the office, jammed it into the old-fashioned keyhole on the door, and turned it. The lock engaged with a solid, satisfying click. He slumped against the door, his chest heaving, the metallic taste of fear in his mouth. He listened. For a moment, there was only the distant drum of rain and the wild pounding of his own heart. Then, a new sound. A faint, wet scraping from the other side of the door. It stopped right where he leaned. Alex recoiled as if shocked. From the thin gap at the bottom of the door, a slow, viscous shadow seeped into the lobby carpet, dark and glistening. And then the voice came. It wasn't a shout or a moan. It was a guttural, choked whisper, as if forced through ruined vocal cords and stagnant water. It seeped under the door and wrapped around him in the cold air. Alex. It knew his name. The voice was hauntingly, horrifyingly familiar. I found the quarterly report you were looking for. A memory, stark and terrible, flashed in Alex's mind. Mr. Evans, the quiet, elderly accountant from the 4th floor. He'd been tasked with finding an old, misplaced financial report a year ago. They'd found him the next morning on the 4th floor landing of this very stairwell, felled by a sudden, massive heart attack, a box of archived files scattered around him. Today was the anniversary. The whispering voice came again, closer now, as if pressed against the other side of the metal. It's right here, Alex. Come and get it. And then, softly, began the sound of a key. His key, the one still in the lock on his side, slowly, deliberately, beginning to turn from the outside.